Okay, welcome to today's session. Today is 5th of May and it's the
Miss,
Tuesday.
no math.
Hello, Noor. Good morning.
Good morning, miss. There is no math session?
Uh, there is English session. If you want math, I can bring Miss Nada. No problem.
No, miss, in the schedule,
And forget about English.
it is written in the
I
schedule that
think they have
there
to
is
change it. Don't
math.
worry, you will have math today. Don't worry. Okay, did the second session in this quarter for social studies, and last week we have talked about something called the alternative fuel. How can we get fuels from different sources? And if you remember, we said that we have two main types of fuels. One of them is called the renewable, and the other one is the non-renewable. Non-renewable it means that it is so difficult to get a new fuel because the elements or the component that are used to form this kind of fuel is not easy to be found. You can say that it takes millions of years in order to be formed. Why the renewable? It is easy to find it. And then we have another or a third one, which is the nuclear fuel. That's what we are going to discuss today. This one is non-renewable too, but it is different from this one, from this type. Why? Because this type, which is the non-renewable here that we have discussed last week, it's we bring it from something called the fossil. It means that it depends on natural elements that are found in the deep depth in the earth, and is formed due to the death of plants and animals. But the nuclear fuel is non-renewable too, but it is not formed from natural things. And next week, if we have if we are still alive, we are going to discuss the renewable one. But just to remind you, with the non-renewable fuel that we have discussed, that is formed from the fossil fuels, and it's like the petroleum, like the natural gas, like the propane, it's the remains of dead body, and the coal that we use to in getting fire. We said that's why those products are from fossil fuels, because um, um, they are made from natural materials or component that has been formed through millions of years. Why are they renewable? Because those elements, no way to make more once again of them, because they, as I told you, they take millions of years, so it's not easy to form it quickly. What are the problems of the fossil fuels? They are limited supply because it is not easy to get the component. Number two, they cause pollution due to
Miss,
the burning.
the screen is black.
Really? Since the beginning?
Yes, I think.
I didn't. With all of you?
Ask them, I don't know.
Oh
My screen is
yes.
Yes, Miss.
So
Miss
why
Wala,
didn't
it's
you
black.
say, from the beginning? I was showing you the now. Can you see it?
Yes.
That of course you were not following then. Were you following?
okay.
No, not you weren't. Okay. Okay, if you remember last week we were speaking about the alternative fuel, which means getting fuel from different resources, and that we're supposed to do. And we said that we have three kinds of fuels. Some of them are non-renewable, and that we have discussed last week, and renewable that we are going to discuss next week, inshallah, and nuclear fuel. Nuclear fuel and non-renewable are both of them non-renewable. I mean, nuclear is non-renewable too, but it is different from this one. What the difference? The difference that the renewable fuel, like the petroleum or gas or the peat or the coal, those are non-renewable, yes, but they are made from natural elements. Those natural elements has been formed through millions of years, and under the pressure and the heat they turned into this type of fuel, and of course they make some kind of operation over them to change them into those types. Why the nuclear fuel that we are going to discuss today, they are, yes, it is non-renewable, but it is not made from natural elements. We said that the type of renewable, non-renewable fuel that like petroleum and or gas or coal, they are made from fossil fuels because they depend on natural process that happened. The human being is not participating in this process at all, and it takes millions of years to happen. Why are they non-renewable? Because those elements or components that form those kind of fuel are not easy to make more of them quickly. They spend how many millions of years to be formed. What are the problems? The fossil fuels, the limited supply. The components are not easy to be found. It takes millions of years to be formed. Moreover, they cause pollution in burning them. That's why people are trying to find another way to make energy. That's why they are looking for something called alternative fuels from different resources. One of the problem or the disadvantage of this kind of non-renewable fuel that it causes air pollution, and one of this air pollution is something called the smog. The smog is like a combination of two words, smoke and fog. The fog is something natural. You already found when you find like a curtain of white thing hang on the air. Of course, you find it when you wake up early and you go to school early. When you used to come to school early, you find the fog, yes, on the roads. And the smoke, of course, this is something not natural. It is formed due to the burning that happened in factories or from the cars, vehicles, and all the things. When the smoke and the fog are mixed together, they form something called the smog. This smog is very dangerous because it affects the respiratory system. There are some, some particles of carbon that had hanged on the air, and then when they lay down on the ground or the buildings, washing them away becomes so difficult because it may affect weak and sick people, especially their breath. Fine. Now, have you remembered now what we were speaking about, the non-renewable fuel that's come up from the fossils? I consider the answer is yes. Okay. The new thing is.
What is the question?
What is what?
What was the question?
I said now I was just recapping what we have studied last week.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we are getting to the new lesson. It's the nuclear fuel. Of course, you have heard about the nuclear fuel before, or the nuclear energy. And this energy, how this energy is produced? Nuclear energy produced by taking certain minerals and changing their internal structure. That's why it is not natural elements. Yes, maybe those minerals are natural from the beginning, but when they play in its structure, like here, they change the structure or the atomic structure of it to make it give off a lot of heat. Have you studied before the autonomy and the atomic structure of any elements in science? Again.
What, me?
Have you studied before the atomic structure of any element?
Yes, Yunus.
Great. So you know that any element has an atomic structure, and it is natural atomic structure. But when humans try to change this atomic structure or its internal structure, now it turned to be away from being a natural thing. It has been now turned to be something made up. Human being has made a new element or a new structure of an element. So when they change the atomic or the internal structure of those minerals, so why are they doing this? Because they wanted to give off a lot of heat. They wanted to give off a lot of heat. That's why the nuclear energy does not depend on natural things. Okay. if I ask you a question, nuclear energy is non-renewable. Give reason why. Because the minerals needed are limited, exactly like the fossils. They are limited. They take millions of years to be formed too. What are the usage of nuclear energy? Number one, it creates electricity to heat or cool home and business places. I mean, works, not homes only, and used to run machines and lights. Machines, not vehicles, not cars, not trucks. Machines, I mean machines that are in the factories, and also they produce lights too. But right now they didn't find a safe way to use this nuclear power in making vehicles and cars work. So they didn't find still enough a safe enough way to be used in vehicles yet. What are the advantages of the nuclear energy? Do they have advantage? Do you have an idea about the advantage of the nuclear energy? If we compare it to the fossil energy, the energy that we get from the fossils, if we compare it to it, can you find what are the advantages of the nuclear energy? Any advantage? Do you have an idea? It's better not to waste my time, right?
No.
Maybe because they are natural,
Which is natural?
the nuclear energy.
No, I didn't say that nuclear is natural. The fossils energy that we have discussed before, like the petroleum and the gas and the coal, those are natural because they depend on natural elements. Got it? Which is the fossils. But nuclear energy, I told you, they depend on elements or certain minerals, but the human just to change its atomic structure. So now it is not natural anymore because they have changed its internal structure. Get it? So
Yes.
they don't depend basically on natural thing. The advantage, of course, that the amount of energy produced by the nuclear power is very large and very huge, more than the fossils energy. Example, in the United States, for example, there are 66 nuclear power plants. Plants here means factories. The word plants here means factories. 66 nuclear power plants, and they produce enough energy to fulfill the needs of how much? 20% of the population. So can you imagine just the amount of energy produced of 66 to just fulfill the needs of 20% of the population of whole United States? It means that it produces a huge power. Another advantage that the nuclear power does not pollute the air with carbon. I told you in the fossil fuels, when we burn it, of course it produces a lot amount of smoke, and this pollutes the air. Like when we speak about one of the examples, like the smoke. But here the nuclear power does not pollute the air because it does not burn already. That's why nuclear energy is considered to be a clean fuel. You might find a question ask you, we consider the nuclear energy a clean fuel. Why? Because it doesn't pollute the air with carbon like the fossil fuels. I want you, while we are discussing things, try to find the point of comparison between the nuclear energy and the fossil fuels, or the nuclear fuel and the fossil fuel, because we might make a comparison between both of them, whether in the advantage or disadvantage. Now we have discussed the good point. Let's go to the bad point or the dark point. What are the disadvantages of nuclear energy? Do you have an idea of what would be the disadvantage? Yes, it's a clean power because it doesn't burn and it produces a huge amount of energy. Now, what would be the disadvantage, do you think?
It will not pollute the air.
Okay, well, do you want to pollute the air? We said that this is the advantage, that it doesn't pollute the air.
Okay.
But now we talk about the disadvantages, the opposite thing, the bad thing that they do. Right. Now, number one, we have something called the amount of uranium. Have you heard about the uranium before?
No.
Uranium is it's an element, a chemical. What is the use of this element? Nuclear plants or factories, in order to produce this nuclear energy, they depend on an element called uranium. In order to make power, they depend on uranium. This uranium or this element is very rare. It is so difficult to find it. So this is one of the disadvantages. The uranium, the main element that we depend on producing the nuclear power, is very rare. It's not easy to find it. Second thing, the problem of safety. What will be the problem of safety? You said that it doesn't pollute the air. Yes, I know, but we have something else. If an accident happened at a nuclear power plant or one of the nuclear power factory, the danger could spread of hundreds of miles. If an explosion or a leakage happened in one of the plants of the nuclear power plant, it could affect the whole area around it for hundreds of miles. While if we talked about the power plant that uses fossil fuels, which is natural fuel like the coal or gas, if something goes wrong there, it only affects a small area and the group people around it, and sometimes there is no damage at all. So the problem here is not pollution. The problem is what? Safety. The problem is safety. Of course, you have heard before about an explosion that happened in one of the nuclear factories or plants, and the amount of damage that happened to the area around it. But if a factory or a plant that's using a fossil fuel and an explosion happened there, it will not affect a huge area. No, just will affect the surrounded. I mean that only small area and the group of people, not for hundreds of miles like the other one. So we have the first problem, that the amount of uranium that we use to form the nuclear energy is rare. Second thing, if something happened, it will affect the whole area around it for hundreds of miles, including, of course, everything, any living things around this place. Any disadvantages? We have another thing. We have something called the waste products from nuclear power plants. Those plants or those factories that depend on nuclear power, of course, they get waste. They're left out. Those waste are, of course, have something in them related to the nuclear or the uranium that they are using. This kind of waste is radioactive. It means that it produces things that affect people around them. So they could be so dangerous, and they could cause cancer or other diseases. So what should they do with those waste? Should they get rid of it? Okay, if they get rid of it and put it in any place, it will affect any people who live around this place. We don't have a place that are empty of people. So the scientists did not find a safe way to get rid of this waste so far. What do they do with them? They just keep it in a storage in the plant itself till they find a way to get rid of it through the scientists or the government, a solution for this problem. Clear? This point clear?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the advantage. Getting a huge amount of energy, and it is clean fuel. What is the disadvantage? Number one, the uranium that we depend on it to produce the nuclear power is very rare element. Number two, there is a problem of safety, because if any problem happened in one of those plants, the explosion or the effect of this problem could spread for hundreds of miles. And the third thing, that the waste product that come up from those nuclear power plants are so dangerous, they can cause cancer and other disease. So it is not easy to get rid of it. So they keep it in a storage in their factories or their plants until the scientists or the government find a way to solve this problem. Okay, that's it for the nuclear fuel. As we used for in studying the social, depend please on the PowerPoint and no need for the book at all. The book have a lot of details, so I just summarize it and organize it for you. Do you have any question?
No.
I know there is no question. Okay, so we're going to log out now and then we rejoin again for the second session, which should be English. If you please bring your book, the second volume, next to you. Okay? Yes, you can disconnect. You can disconnect. Come on, hello.
Miss?
Hello.
Hey, Miss, we have mass now.